Wait, who owns that now? I don't even know.
We're gonna get sued.
Yeah, we're gonna get sued by a very old, angry
We're gonna
man.
get sued by dude. I was watching Crystal Lake Memories last night because of all this, and he looked fucking old in that. He looked old as shit in that.
That was like 2010, wasn't
Yes.
it?
That's that beautiful, wonderful 6-hour-long documentary. Who
it's a
here
treat.
has not watched that? By the way.
I
have not.
Oh, okay.
Even if you don't like the Friday movies,
It is
it's
a
fascinating.
fascinating trip through the production of like one of the biggest franchises in history, and it's funny because fuck, what is it? Elm Street Memories or something like that. What the fuck is it called?
Mhm.
What that one called?
Yeah, Elm Street Memories. Yeah.
That one and this one both meet at a certain point with Freddy vs. Jason, and you get really interesting sides from both ends.
Yeah. There's some reused footage.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting though.
But hey, this is kind of an emergency After Dark situation because last
Yeah.
night some news broke about the Friday the 13th lawsuit that we had covered here. But before we get into that real quick, I'm Connor McGraw. Who else is here?
Arlen Harrow, as usual.
Hunter Davenport.
Lou Gonzalez.
So last night, actually, before we cover that, for those who did not know, the writer of the original Friday the 13th movie, I think his name is Victor Miller.
I believe so.
Victor Miller filed a lawsuit against the producers of the Friday the 13th series, basically claiming that the first script was not a work for hire and that everything in that movie is intellectually his.
Yep.
And he brought it to court, and yesterday a judge ruled that, yeah, he's right, and that stuff like Pamela Voorhees, characters like Alice from the first movie, and possibly Camp Crystal Lake now belong to this guy, and if it's going to be used, he's got to get paid.
Yep.
Which, here's the thing, like, this guy might be a corpse in 5 years.
True. And then it goes to his family, though. Or whatever. Like,
Sooner. Maybe even sooner.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that could come of this. Like, it could be like, even if they want to use Camp Crystal Lake, he has to be a producer on the film, which will be very interesting to see what kind of movie comes out of this.
It's just surprising how fast it moves compared to like the tons of these we've seen over the decades. Like,
yeah,
I just think of like the guys with Superman. Bill Finger just recently, within like the last year or two, got kind of named, and they still don't give it exact credit for the creation of Batman.
Yeah.
It's
well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He can only take credit for naming Jason, and it's on video. He arbitrarily came up with the name Jason because there was a kid he didn't like as when he was a child named Jason. He was originally going to go with Josh, and in his script, Jason.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Can you fucking imagine that? Like, oh god, it's Josh.
Josh
Here comes Josh.
Here comes Josh.
Josh. I'm trying to imagine somebody just like Josh.
Someone going, what's that? Someone goes, Joshua fucking Voorhees.
All I can think of is like a really lanky guy with like a tank top.
I'm
and,
Josh.
like,
I'm
spiked
down
up
the
hair.
lake. Wow.
I think of the biggest like preppy douchebag ever.
Josh would be the name of the Scrappy Doo to Jason, like a little child.
Jason Voorhees and little Josh.
Yeah.
See, if they had anything like if they do like some sort of remake again, be like, oh yeah, I got pregnant and lost a child. I was gonna name it Josh, and just like do like a little tie into it or something.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, what do you? Okay, now before I go that, like, here's what this like more or less means. Like, no, okay, back to what I was saying. He only inserted Jason to the script as a throwaway line. It's only for Pamela Voorhees to say, I had a little boy named Jason who drowned in the lake. That's it. But the sequence where Jason actually appears in the movie came from Tom Savini, who is the special effects guy. And then more people had input on it, and then finally it was added later on. It was never in the script. And actually, I think this other guy named like Ron Cruz or something like that, an uncredited writer, wrote that scene. and he's
Yeah,
uncredited
so
because
he
I
has-
think this is only an addition to the script.
So he has like rights to everything but Jason, kind of.
That's basically what the
Kind
contention
of.
is right
That's-
now. Right now,
Yeah.
they're like, Pamela belongs to him.
But
But
does he
He has a lot of the stuff in the first movie.
does he own the name Voorhees?
See, that's the other weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, could
That's
they make
the-
something
that's
that's
the
like
odd thing.
Jason, but they just don't refer to him as Jason Voorhees?
Well, that's the thing. It's unclear if he owns the title, which, and the thing is though, if depending on how these rights work, and I don't know the extent of them, he could go someplace with these rights and sell them to another studio, and then we could have dueling Friday.
You could have a Jason series and a Friday the 13th series.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Which,
could
at
have
this
like
point-
Friday the 13th versus Predator at Disney.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, maybe.
Or well, Sony would be the ones who would fucking
Oh,
jump
God
on this.
damn it.
They would fucking
I
they would just take this.
I can't
like,
talk.
Fucking
I can't talk
lion.
about Sony ever.
I know,
Um,
but they would jump on it so hard.
yeah, and
Or
I think,
Warner Brothers.
I think what they would
or-
do is that Pamela would not die at the end of the first movie, and you'd have a series.
Right.
It's almost like Sleepaway Camp, where Pamela is your recurring villain.
Mhm.
And then if you had a Jason series, we hypothesized last night that like they would probably just excise Pamela from his origin altogether, and probably
Right.
use his father, who is actually somewhere in the. I'm a fucking weird ass expert on these movies. I don't know why. I spent like an exuberant amount of time just like digging into all this shit. Jason has a father. His name's Elias Voorhees, and he's
Yep.
almost been used like 3 times.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be in Jason Goes to Hell. I think he was supposed to be in Jason 6. And
He was supposed to be in like a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
In one of them.
Yep.
With the adult Tommy Jarvis.
Yep.
Like.
yeah, he was supposed to. He
Yeah.
was supposed to basically. I think he was supposed to walk up to the grave at the end of part 6 and find that it was empty, that Jason's not
Mhm.
there.
Was part 6 before or after Space?
Way before. That's
Okay.
Way
Jason.
before.
Okay, look, Jason X.
That's the one that's set 20 years in the future. So technically like 2015, right?
Yeah,
Or
basically.
whatever.
Like you always look at Jason X as the last entry in the series, regardless, because it ends with him
Yeah.
being catapulted into the atmosphere with a comet. Or
Doesn't it
something.
directly follow one of the movies though?
No, it doesn't.
I kind of want
Are
you to
you-
make
No.
another one. Can he just like fall from the sky?
No, I thought that's how it ended. I thought that Jason X ended with him like crashing into Earth.
It ends with
He
him.
does,
Well, no,
yeah.
it ends with him crashing into an Earth-like planet. But they say they explain away his supernatural healing ability as like a Wolverine-esque healing factor, where like as long as one of his cells exists, he can just regrow.
So he's
Which
selling.
I'm like, why doesn't that fix his fucking head? Like, why does he still have a big old gash where his eye should be?
Well, they actually, because that's
To
one of
make
the few movies where they actually remove the mask, and you get to see Jason's
Yeah.
fucked up face.
Well, I mean, towards the end, they were doing it fucking all the time.
Yeah,
as,
yeah.
as me and Hunter learned.
In 7, that's when the first time his mask actually breaks, which doesn't
Mhm.
explain why he gets a fucking new one in 8 because he just has it.
Well, there's a lot of things that don't make sense in 8. Again,
in 7,
it's-
you get the full extent of how much has been done to his poor fucking face.
Yep.
He's missing an eye. He has a big old chunk missing at his forehead because that's where Corey Feldman stuck an. No, that's where Corey from not Corey. Yeah, her name's Corey. Corey from Part 3 stuck an axe into it, and then Corey Feldman hit him in the head with a machete 75 times. In Part 4, and then Part 6, he's dug up and he gets his bottom jaw ripped to shreds with a boat propeller. And then he's stuck underwater and his neck's supposed to be broken. And then because he's been stuck underwater, when he comes out of the water in 7, he is a waterlogged corpse with his whole back missing and just his spinal column showing. And then they pop his mask off and like his whole face is just mangled.
Yep.
And then in Freddy vs. Jason, you get to see a bit of it, but he's kind of like a gray corpse in that.
Yeah. Well, you also see it in 7 and in 8 in Manhattan, and his face is just pristine.
Yeah, it's
just
fine.
I mean, it's still deformed, but it's
And then
it looks good.
in Jason Goes to Hell, like his head looks like a big fucking abscess that's like growing around his mask, and he has way more damage done to it than any of the previous films.
Yeah.
That's also his face was always like sticky.
Yeah.
and like
Right.
Uzi.
Hunter, what were you gonna say?
Like we watched Jason Takes Manhattan for Monster Mash, and like when he has a mask off, he looks like a fucking skeleton dude.
Yeah, he looks really
Mhm.
bad. That's the worst design I think they've had of him so far.
Yeah, he's like a zombie.
Yep.
Yeah, well, because
Yeah.
they like I said in 7 they well in 7 he's pulled back into Crystal Lake by what is supposed to be like Tina's dead zombified father, but he comes out of the water after having drowned for like 20 years, looking like he just took a dirty swim. Like he's just got a little bit of algae and some like brown shit on him. That's it. And that's because a producer for Part 7 interfered in the special effects process, and when they had like this really nasty looking corpse that was supposed to be Tina's dead father come out and drag Jason in, she basically said, absolutely not, that's disgusting, you're not using it. And the director was like, yeah, that's the point, it's a Jason movie, like. So then they said, she was like, throw some makeup on her dad and that's it. And so yeah, that's the result. But anyway, this could basically lead to like a Jason series that probably has nothing to do with being set on Friday the 13th, but you'd still get the giant hulking machete wielding hockey mask wearing dude who who probably couldn't be referred to as Jason Voorhees. It would just be Jason.
And then you'll get another series where like every trailer makes you think Jason is gonna be there, but he won't.
Yeah.
It'll
And
just be his
especially
mom.
if it goes to Sony, Sony do this shit where they'll use Pamela Voorhees and consistently look at the other side and go, hey, maybe we can do a movie together like we did with Venom and Spider-Man.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying in the marketing though will be like Jason's gonna be in this one, don't you believe us?
Yeah.
And then he won't because.
But he
they don't
won't.
have
It'll end up
rights.
being Josh.
Right. They'll have like they'll
So
have
he will
Josh.
use
What if
Josh
you make
Voorhees unironically.
Dude, okay, here's how this might pan out. Like, basically, this could pan out the way Freddy vs. Jason eventually panned out, which is two studios who cannot get along to get these people together into a movie until eventually someone gets a hold of both of them, like New Line, and then throws them in a movie together finally.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing
probably.
I can think of that's similar is I can't remember what two Bond movies it is.
Oh, it's
It's
fucking
Thunderball
yeah.
and
Thunderball and Never Say Never Again.
yeah, they came
I
out
brought
the
that
same
up
year
last
and they're the
night,
same
yeah.
movie.
And actually, what's
okay,
funny
no,
is that
that's,
I think there was something happened with Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 where Sam Raimi couldn't use footage from Evil Dead 1 because of some kind of licensing issue.
No. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So on both fronts, Thunderball is like 20 years before, but on the Bond thing, Kevin McClory had the rights to remake Thunderball every 10 years, basically. The only reason that there aren't 5 movies,
Why? That's just strange ruling.
it's just a weird thing, but he has the rights to do it every 10 years, or he had the rights to do it every 10 years. And the only reason it didn't happen 5 times is because he got sued every time he tried to do it until
The one
except for
that he did with Connery is kind of awesome though.
except for Never Say Never Again. That's the only one where he got away with it.
Yeah.
But he tried doing it every 10 years.
I'm just
and he got
imagining this
sued.
dude with like a notebook and just like a lawyer sees him. He's like, cut that shit out.
He like pops out of a potted plant, like, aha, no.
Yeah, basically, that's kind of what happened. But yeah, every 10 years, like clockwork, he was like, I'm gonna do it again. And somebody said, no.
It's like he runs to
no,
a
you're
bank with a
not.
bomb in his chest, like, I'm gonna do it.
Kind of.
I'll do it.
Um,
I'll make Thunderball.
I'll do it again. The most boring Bond movie. But I own the rights to Spectre. And that's why Spectre didn't show up in Bond for like 40 years.
Yeah, because it had to
Uh,
do with Spectre and Blofeld, right? Like, those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
'cause
like
he
the
kind
tie-in
of-
to all those
yeah.
movies.
Basically, I mean, it's very similar to this. It was basically decided that Blofeld existed before then, but the defining aspects of who Blofeld is were sort of laid out in Thunderball. So as a result, he became the person that was the sole owner or one of the owners of Blofeld, and he was one of the things that stopped Blofeld from being used for all those years. And that's why if you watch For Your Eyes Only, I want to say, they kill off Blofeld as a fuck you to Kevin
In the
McClory.
funniest fucking way possible. It's because
really
it's supposed
good.
to be Donald Pleasance, right?
It's
And,
heavily hinted
Like
at
you
it,
never
yeah.
see his face, and then like Bond just drops him into a fucking silo from a distance, and that's
It's-
it. And when I
yeah.
say a silo, I don't mean a wheat silo. I mean like a fucking nuclear silo.
Yeah, it's
Drops him out of,
really
He
good.
drops him out of
The
a
only-
helicopter.
Yeah.
The only thing
And
we
before he
I remember is
goes-
when Bond punts the cat to figure out which one's the
Oh,
real
yeah.
one,
Yeah.
and then he's wrong anyway.
Right idea, Mr. Bond. Wrong pussy.
Oh my god, that's not a real
That
line.
is,
That's a real line. That's a
It's
that's
the
a
movie
verbatim
that
line.
Paul McCartney did the song for. That's like really racist too.
Oh god.
That's the one right after it, actually.
Oh,
But
okay.
You're not.
Wait,
You're
wait,
not
you only live twice?
far off. Live and let die.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was saying,
There's one of them where there's like an African guy who's also a drug kingpin in Harlem, and he gets killed by an inflatable
Yes.
pill.
Well, he's a president.
What?
Yes, he's the president of a Caribbean nation, but he also wears like a Mission Impossible style mask to be a drug kingpin in Harlem.
Okay.
That sounds
Yeah,
beyond
yeah.
dumb.
I thought you meant
This
racist,
is-
like James Bond doing yellowface in.
Well,
You
it's
Only
also
Live
racist because Baron Samedi shows up.
No, just like
and-
how they treat black people in the movie is racist.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
I,
think
like-
I actually thought you were talking about Baron Samedi at first.
No, but he's one of the henchmen, and he just look up pictures and stills from Live or Let Die. I love that movie, but
isn't it
It's,
the guy, the
it's
bad
not
guy is the
great.
old black guy from Rudy?
that's the thing. You could say anything, and I'll be like, yeah, kind of like, is it do with a claw?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
one.
uh,
It was like that time in Hollywood when there was like 5 old black guys that they would just put in movies.
Mm-hmm.
I miss a time
Yeah.
where James Bond villains could just be ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was only like 10 years ago, because what was the last Pierce Brosnan one? But there was a Korean guy.
Oh well,
who
that
got face
here's the thing though. That
surgery
was
to be
that was
white.
an aberration though. That was an aberration even for the time. But the villain in that movie, he's a Korean man, and he turns himself into a white man.
So it is
Using-
actual, it is actual, literal, plot-driven whitewashing. Is the
Yes.
part of the plot.
Yeah, he injects himself with white bone marrow, and that slowly turns him into a white man who can't sleep.
Is this? I'm sorry.
Um,
Is this the last Brosnan Bond movie?
It's the one with Halle
Yes.
Berry.
Yeah, the one I
Mhm.
skipped because I looked at the trailer and said, "Abso-fucking-lutely not."
Well, you can skip all the Brosnan ones except for Goldeneye. They're
Hey,
all
hey,
garbage.
hey, hey, hey! Hey,
I
Tomorrow Never
like his second
Tomorrow
one.
Tomorrow
Yeah,
Never
Tomorrow Never
Dies.
Dies.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a
That movie's amazing.
Terry Hatcher.
No, yeah, I mean, she's not in it that much though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
she's
'cause
like
Tomorrow
It's
Never
what's her
barely
Dies.
there.
Like
It's
Tomorrow
what's her name
Never
from Crouching
Dies.
Tiger. Is
Yeah.
the Bond girl.
Yeah, Tomorrow
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies is like the villain's a fucking like isn't he a press mogul who like basically does like fake news
Yeah.
is his villainy?
He creates the news so his
Yeah.
paper can put out the news a day
so
early.
that he can get
Yeah.
the broadcast rights in China
It's fucking
Yeah.
for
I'm
the
like,
next
it's
100
weird
years.
What things predicted the stupid shit that goes on now. Like I like how Metal Gear Solid 2 predicted meme culture like a decade before
Mhm.
it took off.
I mean,
The other, you just reminded me. The other one though with Denise Richards is so much worse.
that's
No,
that's
it's so much worse.
That's the one with Madonna, and they have which one is Madonna? And they have like a
No,
offensive,
okay,
like-
wait, okay. So here's the thing. I don't think those middle Brosnan movies are as bad as everybody likes to think that they are. I think Die Another Day corrupted everybody's memories of those movies. As far as Bond movies go, they're fun movies. They just have a lot of problems with them.
Yeah.
But Diamonds Are Forever is just unforgivable.
Oh, is that the one with Jimmy? What's his name? That does it was like a singer and has like breakfast food now.
Oh yeah, I think so.
He's like the scientist, but he's like a big Southern guy.
Here's the problem with Jodan Baker?
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
Jimmy
Joe John
something.
Baker's in
Goldeneye.
It's not Jimmy,
Oh, wait.
Jimmy John's or something like that. Jimmy John's a sandwich place, but it's something like that.
Here's the problem with Bond Pierce Brosnan problem before we get back to the subject at hand. Goldeneye is great, and then Die in Their Days sucks.
Yes.
So you
Die
have
Another
this
Day.
fantastic bookend in this like shit tier finale, so it makes everyone think that like nothing is good except Goldeneye, and that's not
Mhm.
true. Like
Well,
Tomorrow Never
yeah.
Dies is not bad, and World Is Not Enough is okay.
Everything about Goldeneye is goddamn awesome. Like there is not
Yeah.
the song
I
is
agree.
awesome. Like I don't even remember the songs for the other movies.
The only
Which is a
bad
big
thing about
part of
Goldeneye is the score. The score is like bad '80s porn. Like it's
got that
it's just
goddamn
like-
Tina Turner song.
It does, but
anyway.
just re-listen to the score on its own, and it's just
Oh,
it's really
But anyway,
bad.
Dean.
we brought up Evil Dead as well. Now, what I don't remember
Yes,
the
Evil
exact
Dead.
details for that.
Okay, so Sam Raimi, and this is part of, we had this argument before about like how every movie's in a different universe. It's literally in a different universe because every movie was produced by a different studio, so none of them are actually direct sequels to the previous movie. Evil Dead 2 is not actually a sequel to Evil Dead 1.
That's basically a retelling of it.
Evil Dead 2 does a
Yes.
very quick retelling of Evil Dead 1 before it goes
Mhm.
into what you would call sequel territory. I would
Yes.
still argue that Army of Darkness is a direct sequel to Evil Dead 2 because it uses footage.
It is.
It is that
It
one
is, but it's different studio, so legally you can't say that.
Yeah.
And Sam Raimi can't admit it, which is why Ash vs. the Evil Dead can only acknowledge the events of the first movie directly, and say that those things are canon. It cannot acknowledge things from 2 or
No,
3.
it does because he still
Until
has.
later on it can.
Well,
but it's like little references.
But he still has the metal hand, and that's an Evil Dead 2
He
thing
does.
and an Army of Darkness thing.
But he gets the metal hand is new. It's not an old metal hand. It's a metal hand that he gets. It's a second metal hand. That's the thing. It's something that did happen in Army of Darkness, and it's clearly the same idea as that, but it's not.
Okay,
That
now, I don't mean
It's a
metal
way
hand.
for them to,
I
it's a
mean
way
the
for them
idea-
to work
the-
around the idea.
The idea of him
Yes.
losing his hand is
Yes.
referenced as a result of the Deadites, which happened in Evil Dead
Mhm.
2. I just
Yeah.
don't know if they can go out. Well, I think they've shown.
No, he lost his
No,
hand.
he
in
cuts
the
off his
first
hand in the
movie.
original.
No,
He doesn't get a
Yeah.
replacement.
He
doesn't
does
get the
not.
chainsaw
Bullshit. He
one.
cuts his fucking hand off in 2, and I will take.
He cuts his hand off in 1.
He cuts his hand off in both of them.
He cuts his hand
Yeah.
off in 2. He leaves the first movie with both of his hands, and I will fight you.
I don't think you're correct.
Fuck you both. Yes, I am.
I think here's the thing. This is another problem. A lot of people remember Evil Dead 2 as Evil Dead 1. I think you're going through that right
No,
now.
I am not, because I watch the movie religiously, and he leaves that movie with both of his hands.
Okay,
Does not,
I'm looking it up right
does
now.
not cut off his hand until the second movie, because the second movie is when it gets possessed, and it beats his ass in the kitchen, and it beats him with plates, and then he
No, okay,
cuts
you're
it
right.
off.
In the first, okay.
Are you sure you
Okay.
watched the same movie? It sounds like you're talking about Idle Hands.
Evil Dead
With Jessica
1.
Alba.
Evil Dead 1 ends with him fucking just fighting off a bunch of Deadites who all dissolve in the goddamn in the cabin, and then he leaves the house and gets hit with one of the Deadites. He does not cut off his hand in the first movie.
Okay.
I got fucking balled up right now. Let's do this. I'm waiting for both of your long form apologies, okay?
I
I'm
haven't,
just trying to make sure
I
that you're
haven't seen
correct.
the original one in a decade.
That's the thing. I don't care about the original.
Yeah,
one.
that's
I don't
why. Like,
think the original
if I
one's
want to
very
see
good,
it, I would
personally.
see 2, and
So,
then I would just watch
yeah.
Army of Darkness, and then I would just see the show.
Okay, I do think Connor is right, actually. So there.
All right, my
Whatever.
apologies. You are correct,
yeah.
Master of terrible horror.
Anyway,
Fucking
Anyways.
doing an air thrust right now with my crotch, okay?
Anyways,
Fuck you.
anyways,
Right in
point is, in Ash vs. the Evil Dead, he never says, "I went back in time and I met King Arthur."
No,
he says, "I went back in time." Those are two different things. One of which would have gotten Sam Raimi sued.
I'd much rather him gloss over the fact that he meant King Arthur anyway.
I like that quite a bit, but yeah.
I just like when he runs back
Yeah.
into Merlin in fucking Army of Darkness, and he's like, "Did you say the word?" He's like, "Yeah, I kind of." more or less. Yeah, no, Evil Dead is a similar situation. I can't think of anything else that kind of matches this at the moment.
Dude, the James Bond thing is the only thing I've ever heard that's like really similar.
Yeah, which is this doesn't happen very much. Like,
Actually,
no one has sued for the rights
it
to
happens
Khan.
in other mediums,
anything
but
like
not
that.
movies.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
a movie. It's not
the
really a
rights-
movie thing.
the rights to Double Dragon are similar. We're like, no one knows-
What?
Yeah.
So,
Although I know
one
someone that
knows-
worked at Majesco that put out a Double Dragon game like 5 or 6 years ago.
yeah,
Mm.
Well,
It's
before
like-
that company.
Double Dragon Neon?
Yes.
I just downloaded that. I haven't
Oh, it's
played it
really
yet.
good. Yeah, my
I've
wife's
heard.
cousin worked. Both of her cousins worked there, and they all got fired right before Christmas because they downsized.
Oh,
It was like 5 or 6 years ago. But they
I'm now thinking about like, what if other writers are inspired by this to do similar things? Like what if somebody's like, I'm gonna get the rights to Leatherface now, and I'm just gonna do
oh my
Leatherface
God.
movies.
Here's the thing, though. Who the fuck would want the rights to Leatherface right now? That series is tainted.
I mean, hey, somebody could do it. You never know.
Well, and here, actually, now that you mention it, like, I wonder what the right situation between Dimension and Clive Barker is at the moment, because, like, the only reason Dimension
that's based off of a book, though.
yeah,
isn't it? Isn't Hellraiser
it's
based off
the
of
Hellbound?
a short story?
It's based off the Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. And Pinhead is never explicitly called Pinhead in the book. He's referred to as like a Cenobite bishop.
So I think my guess is that that's more of a Marvel situation. That's why they keep on making movies, even though they're bad. As you've pointed out many times, I think that it's like we have to hold on to these rights. I presume otherwise they go back to Barker and he can just do whatever he wants with
That's
them.
probably true. That's how a lot of those deals were worked out.
Yeah, which is really shitty because just give it back to
Fox
him.
did it for forever with like all of their properties, and then it's been done for forever. But like I was saying, the only thing that kind of is similar is like in other types of mediums, like this has happened in comics for forever.
Yeah, this happens all the time in other mediums, like fucking Angel A, right? Fucking she's the Spawn character, right?
What the hell is her stupid name?
Angela,
yeah. And he took her and brought her to Marvel, and now she's Thor's bastard sister.
Which
again, McFarlane was involved in another one because of the whole what's his name, Marvel Man, Miracle Man situation, which they're finally, after like now, going to put out new stuff, because that went through like 7 different lawsuits at some point.
Hey guys, something went wrong. The curse of Andy strikes again. So Connor's plugs are Movie Dumpster comes out every week. I don't know exact days.
Just had an episode drop with the Crocodile Hunter this weekend.
Yeah, Crocodile Hunter. I watched that movie as a kid. Great film from my memory of it. So go listen to that. Movie Dumpster multiple times a week, I think. I don't know. My plugs. Lost Horror Podcast every single week as well. Connor was on the last one. Go listen to that. It'll be fun. He's going to be on a couple more in the future. Probably. Most likely. So yeah, those are my plugs.
Hunter? Don't follow me anywhere. Look out for Monster Mash coming out Halloween. That'll be fun.
Preview episode a little early, probably.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Lost Hero Games is launching on October 20th. Be sure to check that out when it comes out. No, I don't have anything else really to plug. That's it.
All right, and you can check out Smallville Chronicles. We just finished season 1. We are going to be doing a special episode where we are watching the amazing pilot for, oh my god, I forgot the name of it. Something Reef, which was the Aquaman TV show that they were trying to make, starring. What's that?
I was about to say, I can't believe that actually happened.
It's starring a star from one of the biggest TV shows in existence that just came back, Justin Hartley, whose adopted father is Lou Diamond Phillips, and Ving Rhames and Adrian Pilecki.
okay.
Yes. So it is absolutely ridiculous. So we will be putting that out soon, as well as a other show. I don't know if it's been officially announced, that will be coming out in next month or so.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be on the Lost Horror Network. So look forward to that. Other than that, this has been your emergency After Dark mini. So yeah. Bye.
Bye. Hide your foreign children from Lindsay Lohan.
Okay, X-Men Apocalypse.
Have you